Tigercast fans, welcome back to another video. Tonight, I want to do a bit of a Richmond Mt Rushmore, but I want to break it up into different parts of the ground. So on tonight's Mt Rushmore, I want to see if we can find the 4 best forwards that we've had in the last decade. So the last 10 years, we've been very blessed with some very good results and some amazing players in our time, but can we narrow it down to just 4 forwards that fit onto the Mt Rushmore of Richmond in the last decade? This is my attempt. First up, I think a lot of us are going to have the same two. It's the last two that might cause a bit of discussion. The first player I've got in the Richmond Mt Rushmore for the forward line for the last decade is none other than Jack Riewoldt. He played from 2007 to 2023, 347 games, 798 goals, 3-time premiership player, and a 12-time leading goal kicker for the Richmond Football Club. He bled yellow and black, and he was unquestionably, for a lot of his career, the heart and soul of the Richmond Football Club. He carried the forward line almost by himself during some pretty bleak periods, it must be said. Then to see him rise up when we were in our good form from 2017 to 2020 was unbelievable to see. At the peak of his powers, a dead-eye shot for goal, would always come up clutch, loved taking a bit of a hanger, or trying to anyway. And just the raw emotion that Jack had and that he wore on his sleeve for the footy club was undeniable. And I don't think anyone would ever doubt he would be on our Richmond Mt Rushmore for forwards for the last 10 years. So I think that one might be unanimous one. The second player I've got on the Richmond Mt Rushmore for the forward line for the last 10 years, Tom Lynch. Now, Tom Lynch has started with us in 2019, still playing. 89 games, 208 goals, 2-time premiership player, and a 2-time Richmond leading goal kicker. Now, I know he probably hasn't played as many games as what some people might want to qualify for such a prestigious award, but I don't think we can deny the impact he's had on the footy club. He was obviously a very targeted player that we saw a specific need for to help propel us forward into the premiership window which we were in. So he obviously missed out on 2017, arriving in 2019. But I think it's safe to say that in 2019 and 2020 that neither of those two flags would have happened without his contribution. I remember there was times where Jack was out for quite a few number of weeks and Tom shouldered the load of the forward line. And if we just didn't have that extra big body with talent up forward, it just would never have eventuated. So Tom Lynch, I think, is very warranted to be on the Mt Rushmore of Richmond forwards for the last decade. The third player I've gone with Shea Bolton, and there was a few players in contention for this, but you just can't help but put Shea Bolton in there. 2017 and 2024 he played for the Tigers, 135 games, 165 goals, 2 premierships, and he was the Richmond leading goal kicker on 1 occasion. But it was just his flair, his X factor. I know he missed his fair share of goals as well, but by geez did he kick some really big time goals for us as well. Added a whole nother dimension to our forward line. When the ball hit the ground, he was all over it. Played tall as well, like we know. He loves to jump for the footy. So he added a bit of excitement and value there as well. And I know he rotated through the midfield as well, but that's not what this award is all about. It's all about his forward craft. But I just think that he, along with a couple of others, really shaped our forward line with the pressure and how dynamic it was, which made us really hard to contain for our good period of football. So Shea Bolton's in there. The last one I thought really long and hard about, and I'll do some honourable mentions at the end, but the last player I've gone with for the 4th Mt Rushmore spot for the Richmond forwards of the last 10 years. This one might divide people, but I've actually gone Kane Lambert. Now, my reasoning, well, firstly, Kane Lambert played for us from 2015 to 2022, 135 games, 78 goals, a 3-time premiership player. Now, from a forward perspective, he probably didn't do a lot of the sexy things that you would associate with having a forward on a Mt Rushmore type situation, but his work ethic and the amount of things he did off the ball, the gut running, he essentially covered for Dusty for all of those years as well, which allowed Dusty to do what he did without having to worry about the accountability of defending. And that for me was worth its weight in gold. So I know that one might be a controversial pick, but I've got Kane Lambert in. I hold him in extremely high regard for the way he handled himself and played for the Richmond Footy Club. So I've got him as the 4th spot on the Richmond Mt Rushmore for the best forwards we've had in the last 10 years. Now, some honourable mentions. Josh Caddy was very, very close. I thought that he adding that third big body down there actually caused quite a few headaches for opposition matchups. I actually had him in there initially before Kane Lambert, but I've gone late swap, and Lambert's gone in there. Another honourable mention to Jacob Townsend, almost purely just because of 2017 by itself. You could almost argue without him and what he did, 2017 might not have actually ever eventuated, but I just thought off 1 year probably wasn't enough to justify putting him on there. Now, the final honourable mention, and I know people are probably screaming at their computer that they haven't heard this guy's name yet, is Shane Edwards. Now, this is a really tough one because I actually probably consider him more of a midfielder than a forward. I reckon he did his best work in a lot of his work in the midfield from 2015 or 2014, 2015 onwards. He probably played in the forward line a bit more earlier in his career. He definitely played forward in bits and pieces all throughout his career, undoubtedly. I just felt he did his best work or most of his work as a midfielder with countless inside 50s, clearances, all that kind of stuff as well. So that's why he's not in this list. Maybe he features in another list down the track. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. So that is my Mt Rushmore for the Richmond forwards for the last decade. Jack Riewoldt, Tom Lynch, Shea Bolton, Kane Lambert. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Who would you have gone? I know we might have all have differing views on this, which is fine. Let us know who you would have gone with in your Mt Rushmore in the comments below, and we'll see for the midfielders up next.